Where then is the issue? There are two major issues. First, the showrooms are franchises, which present a maze of red tape and outdated rules. And second, the galleries themselves are franchises, which show a similar problem. Dealership operations are not wholly under Ford's stewardship or ownership. The closure has caused widespread chaos in the automotive industry, and the lack of available semiconductors is causing manufacturing and disruption problems. CEO Jim Farley has had it up to this with Ford's massive problem. Ford has been making and selling automobiles through franchise dealerships for well over a century. But in today's increasingly digital world, this approach is obsolete. Buying a car from a dealer has a bad reputation, so consumers are wary about making a purchase. You'll have to wait for hours and negotiate a price, worrying the whole time that the dealer is going to rip you off. Sad to say, many car lots already practice this. A Ford F-150 Lightning at one dealership was marked up by $50,000 over the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Indeed, this is not an isolated incident. Today, we'll investigate the reasons why this is not a simple issue, so please join us. What Ford's CEO is doing to fix the problem. The case's significance requires an appreciation of the function of dealerships. In the early part of the 20th century, dealerships for the sale of automobiles were developed so that Ford could reach a more significant number of clients. When Ford first began selling cars, the first dealerships were horse and buggy shops that had decided to sell automobiles. Then in 1914, Henry Ford legally established a franchise network of competing dealerships, a move that would ultimately lead to a great deal of conflict. Even while they appeared to be a terrible means of expansion when seen in hindsight, they were, in fact, reasonably practical when used at the time. The dealers would be able to provide superior service and support to the customers due to their proximity to the customer. Ford would also save the expense and time commitment of constructing stores in various areas around the world. In the 1930s, Ford dealerships boasted expansive showrooms while clients would view the latest models, consult with knowledgeable salespeople, and get answers to any questions or concerns they had about their Ford vehicles. As of now, about 170,000 people are employed at Ford dealerships in the United States. Where then is the issue? There are two major issues. First, the showrooms are franchises, which present a maze of red tape and outdated rules. And second, the galleries themselves are franchises, which show a similar problem. Dealership operations are not wholly under Ford's stewardship or ownership. The closure has caused widespread chaos in the automotive industry, and the lack of available semiconductors is causing manufacturing and disruption problems. Due to the recent changes in the environment, a situation has arisen in which Ford and its dealers are competing against one another. Because there is a lack of vehicles available, Ford's goal is to get automobiles into the hands of customers at a price that is affordable. Nevertheless, dealers are conflicted about matching customer demand because there are not enough vehicles. They can't help but strive to maximize profits by setting ridiculously high prices, notwithstanding the difficulties experienced in 2020 and 2021. A man from New York noted that a Ford dealership in New Jersey was selling a 2021 Ford Bronco for $49,855. Despite the manufacturer's suggested retail price of $34,855. According to a member of the Ford Lightning Owners Forum, an F-150 Lightning with a manufacturer's suggested retail price of $91,000 was recently sold for $145,309, more than what the manufacturer wanted. A similar problem existed within the Ford Mustang Mach electric crossover cabin. Due to the high demand for the Mustang Mach-E, EVs found that dealers were boosting the price of the vehicle up by $15,000. Getting rid of drug traffickers must be the obvious solution. The second difficulty emerges at this point. Dealerships and the jobs they create are safeguarded by the stringent franchising and dealership legislation in the United States. Sales directly to consumers are restricted or prohibited by law in 48 states. Only authorized dealers may sell these to customers. Because they have so many duties under their contracts, Ford finds it incredibly difficult to get out from under them. On the other hand, Tesla has never sold any of its vehicles through a conventional automobile dealership. because they believe that dealerships will not be able to fully express the benefits and differences of owning an electric car compared to owning a regular automobile. The company that was founded by Elon Musk only sells directly or online. This is because they have always insisted on this point. As a result of this, the corporation has only 170 galleries and showrooms spread over 29 states. In order to avoid complying with these requirements, Tesla came up with the term gallery. They are not selling autos. Instead, they provide a place where anyone interested in the company's offerings can learn more about them. It is against company policy for Tesla employees to attempt to negotiate prices or close sales in one of these showrooms. Right before we jump into the next part, if you make it this far, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Comment below, "I subbed" for your chance to enter our monthly shoutout giveaway. In a Tesla gallery, orders can only be taken over the phone or online. All paperwork must be signed and the purchase price paid before the automobile may be brought into the state. Despite the operational complexity, this produces a very streamlined model for Tesla, allowing them to cut out the middleman and artificially inflate their prices. So, what will Ford do? Say, several retailers. In a recent memo, Ford attempted to address the issue by stressing that the dealership's stock would be negatively affected if the price increases continued. But a mere warning didn't seem to do the trick, so they devised a tight name match mechanism in a newly revised message from Jim Farley himself. Therefore, if just one person placed an order for a vehicle, that person must be the sole recipient of the car. It used to be the case that dealers may take advantage of a loophole that allowed them to evade the name match requirement if they did so within 120 days of the transaction. This allowed them to circumvent the rule that required a name match. Consider the scenario in which a prospective buyer has second thoughts about purchasing an F-150 Lightning within the first 120 days after the vehicle has been sold. In such a scenario, the dealership has the option to back out of the purchase and will be entitled to a full refund from Ford. The dealership has the ability to remove the vehicle and resell it to anybody they like at a profit should they choose to do so. In accordance with the new regulations, 75% of all automobiles ordered by dealerships must be associated with a specific person who adheres to a strict no cancellation policy. Dealers will be held responsible for any and all violations of the name match policy going forward. When 2023 rolls around, this threshold will be increased to 80%. The consequences for failing to properly match people's names have been rendered more severe. In the case that a dealer is found to have violated the name match, the dealer will be forced to give up their allocations for the remainder of the month. After a third unsuccessful attempt to match, a dealer's status will be terminated. Jim Farley desires for the dealerships to comply, but he is also aware that getting rid of them is neither the solution nor even possible at this time. In a recent interview that Farley gave to Morgan Stanley, he expressed his belief that there would come a time when customers will still be able to go to a dealership in the event that there is an issue.
I believe that we have to go to a non-negotiated price.
In contrast, automobile prices are transparent and subject to government regulation. According to Ford's chief executive officer, after the standards have been established, the firm will be able to transition to a more efficient strategy in terms of cost while continuing to offer on-site support in the event that difficulties arise. The year 1908 marks the beginning of the car industry as we know it today, when Henry Ford introduced the first production version of the Model T. Jim Farley, who joined the company 104 years later, accepted a great job of updating the old methods of the corporation in order to make it more like a startup. In today's electron age, traditional automobile sales techniques are useless. Increases in prices that aren't justified will only annoy customers and send them looking elsewhere. Ford must make adjustments swiftly if it wants to maintain its competitive edge. Moreover, Farley appears to grasp the concept. He's divided Ford into two companies, one focused on conventional automobiles and the other on autonomous and electric vehicles. They did this so that the EV side could be creative, unfettered from corporate restrictions, and quick to act. Please share your stories if you have encountered these price changes firsthand. Do you believe it's just a hiccup, or has it turned you off Ford altogether? Be sure to check out this video over here.